We've seen so many phenomenal pictures here. What is really the route to be taking in this bear market? So here to discuss further, we have our lovely moderator, Miss Olga Vox. And here you go. Accompanied now by Nick Sullivan of HeartRithm, Sheldon Weisfeld, who's one of also our BitAngels judges, and Russell Korus, who's also another one of our fabulous BitAngels judges. So Olga, I'll let you take it over. You may want to use this one. Yeah, I got you. Can you hand them the mics? I'll show that they're on.
I think I need one more.
Right.
Thank you.
Hello.
Testing.
Okay, now it's on. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Olga Vox, and meet our amazing panelists here. Nick Sullivan of HeartRithm, Sheldon Weisfeld of BitAngels, Houston City Leader and Event Horizon Capital, and Russell Korus, EZ365 Digital Ecosystem Platform. Welcome. Unfortunately, we're still in the bear market, and the market went down around 70% since November last year. And for us, seasonal investors, it's not like it's the first one, it's the second, third, maybe. So for one of you, it's even longer than that. We learned a lot, and we've been developing new products and companies, and going to this bear markets, as from I've heard, more successfully from the others. So please go ahead and tell me more about your companies and what kind of products and projects you're launching in this bear cycle.
Sure. Hi, my name is Russell Korus, and I founded EZ365 about 5 years ago, December 2017, pretty much at the peak of that bull market. And 2018, 2019 were pretty challenging, but we've made it through. And our primary focus is on executing exciting, innovative, and creative projects around NFTs. So we partner with anybody that has a really good idea but lacks the expertise or the resources to execute. So they partner with us, and we let them focus on what they're good at. So if they're artists, we just let them focus on physical art, and then we do everything else, conduct the sale, and then share the revenue on the back end. And some of the most exciting things for me that's upcoming is using NFTs to disrupt traditional industries. Art, metaverse, collectibles, these are amazing pillars that have brought NFTs to where they are today. But to get to that next level, we're going to need to see NFTs used in real estate, in supply chain, in manufacturing, in distribution, and some of these other more traditional industries. And we're working on a project moving the mortgage transaction onto the blockchain, something I'm very excited about. So that's really where our focus is.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sheldon Weisfeld. Historically, I launched CoinVault ATM, the first North American Bitcoin ATM network, licensed, regulated, as a money service business. I also had the privilege of having the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, do a full and complete audit, something I do not encourage anybody to have the privilege to have that experience. But I share that with you simply because of the fact that I realized that this industry does have a lot of responsibilities that are handed to us as entrepreneurs and early adopters in this space. And how do we want to incorporate that? I chose to roll that company down in 2019 after a very solid, successful run for some philosophical reasons. I did not want to be the authorities gatekeeper. And if we're going to operate in a compliant manner, that's a responsibility that many of us have to accept in that space. As a result of the evolution of CoinVault and being in 2013, I got involved in a data analytics company that does research. It's called Crypto EQ, where they provide signals. Out of that, any of us that have been in the industry for a long time, we're constantly asked by our friends, family, and other associates about how do they get involved. And sometimes that conversation may lead to, let me just give you the money so I don't have to learn all of this key management and the other responsibilities. And out of that, Events Horizon Capital has been born, which we'll be launching here this quarter. And it is an actively traded hedge fund. We trade up to daily. We're going to be raising $100 million. We have an initial Nebula fund, which was our prototype, fully documented October 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2022. As an actively traded fund, we did 541% versus the traditional just buy and hold strategy of Bitcoin in that same time frame did 86%. And while that is a great return, 86%, as we bring new people into the industry and open up their portfolios to incorporate this asset class, for those of us that have been in the industry for a long period of time, that may not look like a good return. But the principle is about asset preservation. So it's about managing that risk. And I'm happy to be here today to share with you. Thank you.
Those are great returns. That's impressive. So, Nick Sullivan, everybody. I have been in and around Silicon Valley for about 22 years. Sometimes the founder, sometimes the CEO, sometimes the CTO, but always the first technologist at the company that builds the initial version of the product and then hires and scales the team. I've done that a bunch, and that's my passion. I'm actually a geek at heart. Only one up here without my suit jacket on. I just left it down there for a little bit. So this time around, and then I read the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper in 2013, and all the light bulbs went off on how this was going to be a great technology and that I needed to throw my career behind it. So I did. Started working with Michael at first with the first Bitcoin syndicate on AngelList in 2014 with Gil Pinchina. So I've played in both the founder roles and the investment ecosystem, or in the investment side of the ecosystem for many years now. HeartRithm is the third crypto and some of you in the room may know me from my first baby in crypto, which was ChangeTip. It was the first tipping bot online, and still the 7th most mentioned username on Reddit, even today. So pioneered micropayments with Bitcoin way back in the day. That was acquired by Airbnb. Now I'm working on HeartRithm. It's really important for me to work on impact. I think we all choose where we're going to put our life energy, and for me that means aligning myself with doing good in the world. So HeartRithm is a regenerative engine for social impact, which means we're a crypto quant fund. We have smart engineers who are really good at digging into data science and automation and figuring out ways we can turn code into money. And then what's special about our fund is that we drive 50% of our performance fees to social impact projects. So code into money and money into good. That's HeartRithm.
Amazing. I'm flattered to be on one stage with you guys. You've been in the industry for such a long time and seen it all. And so my first question is, what's the problem here? Why we are in this bear market when it comes to crypto? Is it really 100% correlating with traditional stock markets, or is there any other factors that we should consider too? Nick, you can start.
So the question is, why are we in a bear market?
Yeah, in the crypto bear market. What are different factors that's brought us here?
It's like it's the battlefield analogy for all of us right now. So yeah, it seems like the first air out of the tires was Luna, and that's definitely been a cascading ecosystem failure that took down. I don't need to tell everybody in the room why we're here. As far as what's gonna lift it back out, historically we've seen new countries finding a way to use Bitcoin as a capital flight tool. That's been one thing that's pulled us out of a bear market. That's happened with China and Russia and Singapore and South Korea a few different times. I'd like to shift the focus away from that to recover us from a bear market to actually something that we're seeing either institutional or retail value. This last bear market, this last bull market, I think was actually facilitated by institutional capital starting to treat Bitcoin as digital gold. Now I think we need a similar revolution or another re-inspiration of confidence that it is in order to see the dollars start to flow back in.
And I would comment the bear market is obviously, it is correlated. We've had this smart money come in, institutional money. The markets took a dip. They have to have the liquidity in order to be able to meet their demand of the call of the money that they may have leveraged. And that simple supply-demand theory is applying at this point. And while we're in this bear market, it's a buying opportunity for those of us that have the confidence and the faith and the understanding of what the underlying technology is.
I would chalk up the current bear market to the 4-year super cycle related to the Bitcoin reward halving. I think that if you look at, from 2013 to 2017, from 2017 to kind of 2020, 2021, and it should correlate. I think early 2024 is projected to be the next halving. Roughly 4 to 6 months after that, I expect a major bull run. And these things are not a complete science, but they've been very consistent in Bitcoin's history to this point, and I think that's the biggest reason why. But I will also say, from a high-level perspective, I think that what we're seeing in terms of valuation is actually a very good thing. I think that it's helping to long-term improve the market and certainly improve the industry. A year ago, you could sell out a project by getting the right influencers to scream NFT, Metaverse, play to earn, Web3 at the top of their lungs to all of their followers, and you'd probably get a sellout. Today, that is definitely not the case. And the main reason for that is because investors have become a lot more discerning. Again, a very good thing for the market because it forces the opportunists out. Investors are finally doing some due diligence, and that's forcing projects to really focus on real world utility, actual benefit, and building sustainable value so that a community has some confidence that this project is going to be around and is going to continue giving them something for their purchase. And again, long term, this is a very good thing. We saw it even in the .com crash in 2000. In February, the NASDAQ was at 5,000. By September of that year, it was at 1,800. And this was not an indictment of the underlying technology. Obviously, the internet and all of the companies that were around that were producing real value survived and thrived. But it got pets.com and all of the other nonsense out of the way so that the real value projects could grow. And I think the same thing is happening here. And so I do feel for a lot of people who are have suffered financially. I have as well. Everyone's portfolio is down, but long term, it's a very good thing.
So I'd like to take a minute to just question the halving idea. I know the cycles. I've seen the data. You can actually roughly plot it out that every 4 years, but I think our pattern recognition brain wants to find patterns when they aren't necessarily there. And I think it's a bad myth to keep propagating, particularly because the halving supply is reducing by half each time. So it's having less of an actual effect each time that it happens. And I think what's actually the bigger thing is not a constricted supply, it's an increased demand that's driving the new markets.
I totally agree with you, Nick. Let's talk about portfolio construction and diversification. What do you think could be the best tools that traditional and retail investors can use in these days? Because we can always buy the deep and hodl, but what other tools we have?
Just put it all on Luna, right? That works out so well for everybody. I said put it all on Luna.
And my thoughts are about taking a look at the real problems that the projects are addressing and identifying the team behind them. And so if we're clear on the fact that there's a problem that this tech will address, not just that they're playing the blockchain story, but the functional utility of the problem they're looking to address is better, well addressed in the immutable application. with a team of people that have a track record, then I think that represents the opportunity in the marketplace that we're in. There's always going to be crap out there. There's always going to be the charlatans out there. We took a $3 trillion market, sitting down at just a hair under 1 trillion, and there's going to be new players emerging that are going to try to effectively do wallectomies on our friends' family. That's where they surgically remove your ass from your wallet. And we do not want that to happen, because that drives a bad reputation across the entire industry.
That's a really great point that I would actually like to elaborate on. When we promote a project today, we don't lead with NFT, with Metaverse, with the tech, which again, a year ago, that was the modus operandi. But today, it's about pushing the real world value of a project. And the NFT component is really just the tech that we use, because it allows us to accomplish our goals better than any legacy technology out there. So it's a means to an end, it's a delivery system, and it's just something that, because of the immutability and the transparency inherent in blockchain, we can do things with this technology that we can't do any other way. And so in terms of evaluating a project, that's the first thing I look at is, how are they using this Web3 technology? And more importantly, why are they using it? And can what they're trying to accomplish be done with other tech? And if so, then it seems like the Web3 component is really more for hype than for real world benefit. And that's a very, very important distinction.
So yeah, and now for a more real answer, sorry for my joke. The way that we automate this at HeartRithm is actually with a system of first starting off with risk controls, very specific rules around maximum percentages given TVL, the platform's been live for how long, who's behind it, and then we can apply a different set of maximum risk controls. And then we have a programming approach where once those risk controls are input, we have a program that goes and does what's called linear optimization, and it walks through all of those, and given the returns and given the maximum amount that you can put in each coin, it finds the best way to allocate those across the different coins. So we have both risk controls and automation. That's the answer for us at HeartRithm.
Interesting. So since we're going to focus on long-term portfolio construction, and blockchain products change a lot, like Russell, you mentioned NFTs. So it's not only about image on the blockchain, right? So there are multiple use cases coming in play, like identity verification, for example. So my question is, what kind of new businesses will flourish in the next bull run? What we should be looking at? What kind of companies, what kind of technologies should we be paying attention to?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I believe that the transformative potential of NFTs is even greater than the internet and crypto. I mean, this technology really is something special, and I'm more bullish today than ever on the future potential of it. But it definitely needs to be tied into something real. And whether it's identity verification, whether it's supply chain, whether it's these things that run the real world that are really going to be transformed with NFTs. And the amazing thing is, you asked the question, well, what's coming down the pipe? I remember like in the late 90s, I was working in the internet, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt that this technology was going to change the world. But I couldn't imagine things like Uber or Airbnb or just the ubiquity of smartphones. And that's where I sit today. I know this technology is going to fundamentally change the world, but it's impossible to imagine how it's going to manifest even 5 years down the road, let alone 10 or 15. And that's what's really exciting is knowing transformation is coming, but not knowing exactly how is amazing.
I would address that, Olga. Interestingly, I revert back to my previous life when I launched prepaid wireless services, the cellular telephone company, before Telecom Dereg Act of '96. And the challenge was, how do you make a cell phone accessible to every man, woman, and child? And now we fast forward a few decades, and it's a reality. Our children have a cell phone in their hands. So now the question becomes, as we look at this tech, what will put it in the hands of every man, woman, and child. So if we define the use case of one application being currency, then how do we integrate it into the legacy industry? So my thoughts are about looking at what are the fundamental infrastructure pieces that will make that a reality. And that's what I invest in. I look at these fundamental projects that are identifying back-end controls. Coming out of the ATM space, having shelved CoinVault ATM, I referenced there's about 38,000 Bitcoin ATMs around the world. But compare that to the legacy industry, about 3.24 million traditional ATMs. How do we onboard the legacy infrastructure to service the needs of the evolving global financial network? And to me, that represents a huge opportunity.
Yeah, so piggybacking on your point, I've actually got three answers that come to mind. And the first would be who's paying attention to consumer adoption? Because we all talk about these products, and the entry point for a lot of these products, for example, in the Ethereum ecosystem is MetaMask. And God, it's terrible for the average person to use. I reached out recently to a very well-known venture capitalist in our space, one of the top three, I'll say it that way, and said, "Who's working on the next MetaMask? Like, come on, please tell me." And he said, "Actually, nobody's working on it. That's a hell of an opportunity." I was just floored that there's nobody working on how we get a grandma-friendly MetaMask. But so that needs to be solved. And I think to answer your question, the companies that focus on how their products are actually going to get past the little crypto bubble and into the rest of the ecosystem are gonna figure it out. Okay, good. And then the second answer that comes to mind is, so I was the first person to hire a community manager in crypto in 2014. Her name was Victoria Van Eyck, and she was awesome. She really helped carry ChangeTip in a lot of ways. And now, as HeartRithm is diving into Web3, I'm seeing just how much more important community is than it was even back then. And so community. The Web3 companies are based on the communities that they're able to build. And so one of the reasons why I'm really excited about HeartRhythm's adventure into Web3 is that our social impact mission is actually what's going to be what builds that community. So second answer is, companies that pay attention to their community. And treat that as actually a core competence. And then, actually, I forgot the third.
I want to comment on the community piece, Nick. And that is that I think of Kyle Kemper many times when I think about ChangeTip. The guy that ran around with the top hat. That's just kind of the image.
He was so amazing. He was our best tipper by 100-fold, and probably touched. He probably brought more people into Bitcoin than any other human by giving them a tip, and he was great. And that's a perfect example of the importance of amazing community.
Yeah. And so I mentioned the community piece because I want to remind each and every one of you that you are an evangelist to this industry. When we go in the public sector and we talk within our circles of our influence and we tell people about the potential and the possibilities of what's going to happen before their very eyes, I remind them that the opportunities do not go away. They're going to go to other people. Think about that.
So in the end of the day, it's all about the community and the network effect. You all agree on that. So back to my first question, though. So how does this influence the fact that we are in a bear market right now? Because in my opinion, more people support the system, more tools and products we launch for the average consumer be able to gain the trust back and be able to diversify their portfolio and have faith in the new crypto projects that are being built and launched, being built in the bear market and being launched in the bull market. How does it all really correlates with the fact that we're in recession and the fact that we're in the stocks are not doing well either? Like, in my opinion, crypto will recover much faster, and all the investors will get multiple gains on what they're buying now in the deep. So in terms of hedging the risk, though, what are the best strategies and derivative products that the market can offer? And is there any new system that we can work on that will require more community participation? Nick, I think it's something that you're planning to do.
Well, so I actually want to come back to something you were saying about trust. Let's face it, with the 3 Arrows Luna collapse has left a pretty big stink in the room, and we haven't fully cleared it out yet. And I think in order to rebuild trust with consumers, it's going to have to come through transparency. And so one of the things that HeartRithm is working on with its Web3 product is actually proof of assets. I also did proof of reserves back in the day with ChangeTip, where we found a way to do a Merkle tree proof that showed that we had the assets that we actually said we had. Consumers are going to be very leery about any product that says, put your money into this big black box and trust us, we'll be keeping it safe. We've kind of lost that, and maybe it's a blessing in disguise, because now we're going to have to prove to people that we have the assets that we say we have before they'll trust us again. But we really need to rebuild trust before we're going to get a lot of people putting money back into crypto.
And I'm reminded of the whole fear factor. That fear drove a lot of people to sell. And how do we overcome that fear? Leveraging on Nick's comment about trust. And that's the ability to verify. So if the old school of investing is to trust and verify, we need to be able to demonstrate the ability for them to verify what we're doing or what we're saying is accurate.
Yeah, and I see a lot of projects today work towards something real, an MVP, something that they can show prior to doing a TGE, prior to trying to raise money publicly. And again, this is a very good thing. Back in the old ICO days, you just needed a website and a white paper and a good story, and you could raise tens of millions of dollars. And today, again, it's a very good thing that this is now the case, but now you need to show something real, and you need to be more like a traditional industry. And I think that's a very positive move. And it's really now about finding creativity, finding innovation. There was a question earlier in the panel, I think Michael asked about whether to invest in equity or whether to invest in tokens. And obviously there's pros and cons to each. Something we're trying to do is combine them into a single purchase. So we were acquired about 1.5 years ago by a SPAC. We did an RTO, and we are now publicly traded in the US. And we're building a system where somebody can go and buy equity, buy our shares through their broker, through an E-Trade account or whatever. Go on our website, verify the purchase. They would then be issued a stock certificate in the form of an NFT, and then they could stake that NFT on our platform and earn tokens. So with a single purchase, they're getting equity, they're getting an NFT, and they're getting tokens. And this is something that, that type of creativity, I think, will go a long way towards bringing people from the traditional investor community into Web3.
I guess we're done here. One last question. I'm super interested. So you guys running hedge funds. Is there any product that a hedge fund can do that involves NFTs? Can we do like a membership subscription for the hedge fund through the NFT or any other options? Like, just be creative, super curious.
I've largely stayed away from NFTs because at first, at least to me, I saw the whole ecosystem being based on scarcity. Now I'm starting to get fully into it because I see that it's about community. And so I love the idea of embracing NFTs with community, and we will be doing that with HeartRithm.
We don't have an initiative identified on that.
Maybe you will.
Maybe I will. Yes, exactly. That's what we're all here doing, getting new ideas. So right. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga, for moderating, for the wonderful questions. Thank you to our panelists here as well.